Ha! Hey everyone, Hustlin' here, and I got a new review for you today. These are some Marvel Legends figures. I've never gotten Marvel Legends figures before, but I've heard a lot about them. I've heard they're pretty cool. And here they are, Marvel Legends Infinite Series. These are based on Guardians of the Galaxy. There's 4 of them straight from the movie, and 2 that are from the Guardians of the Galaxy like comic book universe, and they're kind of grouped in with all these figures. So there's 6 total in the collection, and here they are. In the bottom we got Drax, then we got Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon. In the middle is Gamora, so those 4 are from the movie. And then the comic book ones, we got Nova, as well as Iron Man right there. So I have not really read the Guardians of the Galaxy comics or anything, so I don't know much about Nova, and I have never seen that Iron Man design before, but I love the movie. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, thought it was awesome, and the only way to get Groot is you gotta get all 6, because they all come with pieces of Groot. So that's why I figured, you know what, might as well collect them all so I can have the full set and get Groot as well. But here they are, and I'm going to do a review of all of them here. So let me kind of move my camera a little closer, and we'll take a look at the packaging for each one by one here. So it's Marvel Legends Infinite Series. So it says Drax right there for this one. And here he is, pretty cool looking. Guardians of the Galaxy logo. Part of the Build-A-Figure collection for Groot. All 6 of them are in that Build-A-Figure collection. Some great artwork of Drax right there. And same on that side. There's your UPC right there. The bottom shows Drax, and it kind of gives a little summary of him right there. And then the bottom also shows you, again, the 6 in the collection and how they all come with the 6 pieces to form Groot. And we got Star-Lord right here, Peter Quill, legendary outlaw. Pretty sweet. Looks like he comes with another head right there, so you can get Peter Quill or you can get him with the mask on. Even the headphones and everything, that's pretty cool. So Star-Lord, there's his artwork, looks pretty cool. Same on both sides. UPC right there. And the back shows him right there. So that is pretty cool. Alright, and then we got Rocket Raccoon. So he's smaller than the others, of course, but he's got plenty of weaponry right there, and that little, is that a cannon or something, I think? And he's got the main piece of Groot alongside of him. There's some cool artwork of Rocket right there. And there he is. Pretty sweet. A little description there as well. Alright, I'm going to grab Gamora from up top here, so we can round out the Guardians of the Galaxy movie collection. There she is, Gamora. Some artwork right there. And there. There's her UPC. And there she is. This figure, just from the picture and even here, well, the figure actually looks okay, but the picture I feel like looks pretty terrible, so I think the picture's probably prototype. The picture does not look like her at all, but the figure actually kind of does, so at least the figure doesn't look as bad as that back picture there. Oops, and now I'm knocking some stuff over. Here's Iron Man. So this is, I guess, his look from the comic books, because in the comic books, they, at least one of the series, Iron Man did join them. Really interesting look for him, so not sure how I feel. It looks kind of neat, I guess. There's his look there. I guess we'll open him up and really take a deeper dive. But there he is. Talks about Tony Stark teaming up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's his suit to go up into space. Alright. And then we have Nova. I've heard a lot about this Nova character. I don't know much about him, but I've heard a lot of people really want a movie for Nova. I think his design looks pretty interesting. Looks pretty cool. So there's that. I'm only really familiar with the Marvel movies, not really the comic books. But it does get me excited to know, you know, what else is out there. So this is pretty cool. So that's that. Those are the Marvel Legends figures in the box. So let's kind of open these up and take a detailed look. Alright, here they are, the Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy figures out of the box, and they all look pretty cool. I'll take a look at each of them in detail in just a moment, but in front of them are all the different pieces that they come with. Most of them just come with a piece of Groot, except Star-Lord actually comes with some other accessories, and so does Rocket Raccoon. So first things first, I actually want to assemble Groot. So they all come with this same little piece of paper, except this one came with Star-Lord, so it checks that one off. But basically, it gives you the instructions on how to build Groot. So the headpiece came with Rocket Raccoon. Okay, and then you have the little torso piece, which came with Drax. And so this piece essentially goes on like this. Sorry, this way. And so it's connected just like that. So that's what his back looks like. Okay. And then Star-Lord comes with the left arm. So that goes in just like that. The right arm came with Nova. So you can kind of fold this, let's see, however which way. You can rotate it a little, and then we can bend it inwards. And it clicks in like that. Okay. The left leg comes with Gamora. And then the right leg comes with Iron Man. And you'll want to kind of position it accordingly. And he fell down. There we go. And so this is Groot. Let me see if I can get him in the camera. He is quite tall. You know, if I put him next to the other figures, you know, let's put him next to Rocket Raccoon and stuff, you'll see he is very tall. He's like the length of Rocket Raccoon plus Star-Lord. Well, actually, that's slightly taller, but you get the idea. He's quite tall. And he looks really cool, actually. Like, if you look at him, the detail on him and everything looks great. You know, there's a little bit of green on him there. His face looks awesome. I love the way they did his face. It is very nicely detailed. Very nice. Look at that. I mean, this thing, and it feels very solid, this figure overall. Feels very solid, very strong, and just looks fantastic. Oh man, this guy is amazing. And he actually has a good amount of articulation, so his head rotates around completely and up and down. This little torso piece can rotate and, well, comes off, but essentially it will let you kind of turn him a little bit too if you would like. The arm rotates around as well as up like this, and they can bend, double joint there at the elbow, so you can really kind of mess with, you know, the joint there and kind of pose it however you want. It will rotate around like so, as well as the wrist completely rotating, and yeah, you have like full articulation there. So one hand, this hand is like fully open, this hand is slightly like grasping something there. The legs, he can do the splits, he can kick. He can't really move forward and back though, that's kind of one limitation, unless you turn his leg sideways and then he can kick forward. So if his leg is sideways like that, then it will let him do that. He does bend at the knee, and his foot actually has a good amount of range. You can completely move it to one side or the other side, but it gives you a lot of range in terms of balancing him. And, you know, like if I wanted to pose him like this, then I could bend his foot inwards, kind of like that, so he kind of stands as much as you need him. So this guy, Groot, looks fantastic, in my opinion. He is absolutely amazing. So the only way to get him is to collect all 6, and he just looks amazing. So yeah, that is Groot, and that is awesome. I am Groot. Alright, that was my terrible impression. Okay, so on to the other stuff. Let's get to some of the Guardians first. So let's look at Gamora right here. So this is Gamora. And Gamora is probably my least favorite out of the Guardians, not just Not just in terms of the character, because in the movie she was probably the weakest out of the Guardians, but also the figure itself is probably the weakest. For a couple of reasons. One, here's the little sword weapon that she comes with, and she can't really grip it in her right hand. Like, it's just, her hand is too open, so it doesn't hold it unless you like try and stick it up there like that, but then it just looks kind of weird. This other hand does kind of grip it a little bit better, so it does too, but you know, I prefer like the right hand weapon because I think she's probably right-handed, or I don't know, at least to me that kind of makes more sense to pose it with that, but I can't really do that. The other annoying part is this little piece. This thing just slides around. It never stays in place. You can kind of push it down a little bit, but it just does not stay in place, and it just bugs me because like wherever I pose it, it's just it frustrates me. Unless this kind of stuff just sits in place, that frustrates me. Aside from that, she does have a good amount of articulation. Like, I actually think the head sculpt actually looks pretty good. It actually looks kind of like Zoe Saldana. Like, it actually looks like she does in the movie. And the look of the figure overall is actually pretty good. I think it actually looks great. It's just the features, you know, the hair looks pretty cool. I mean, everything about it looks good. Just the weapons and everything is kind of annoying. And she's very hard to actually stand up, which I'll show you in a second. But her head can rotate basically 360 degrees, but her hair kind of gets in the way, so you can kind of, you know, mess around with that. Her arms do rotate around and up, and she can bend at the elbow there, and the hand rotates around as well. So plenty of articulation there, however you would need her to pose. The torso, you know, she can rotate around all the way that way. She can not do the splits, but she can kick forward and back. And this whole piece of her leg rotates around 360 degrees, as well as she has a double joint at the knee, so you do have more articulation there. These joints are kind of stiff though, so it does make it hard to like pose properly. And then her foot does go back that much. So just standing straight, you'll see her feet tend to curve inwards. So I don't know if that's just an issue with my figure or what, but it makes it very difficult for her to like stand properly. You know, you can kind of try and mess with it, and it just, she's a bit of a struggle, you know, just to try and get to stand there. Her legs are very thin, you know, so she does not hold that much weight. So that is kind of unfortunate. And see, this whole thing is now getting in the way. So yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time right now. I'll try and pose her later, but so you'll see it gets frustrating trying to get her to stand properly, and there, I kind of got it, but so that's annoying. So she looks good, and if you can get her to stay stationary, then that's great, but aside from that, kind of annoying. So that is my little verdict on the Gamora figure, and I'll kind of give her her weapon so she can hold that. And let's move her out of the way. Let's take a look at Drax, the Destroyer. Here he is right here. So he comes with two little knives, which they can be removed, or you can hold them right there. He looks pretty good. I think, you know, he looks pretty interesting. He has some nice detail with all his little markings and tattoos and whatever all over his body, or whatever they are. So all that stuff, and yeah, he looks pretty cool. I think the figure looks great, and he has a good amount of articulation as well. The Marvel Legends figures seem to have a lot of great articulation, so you can move it, and you can move up and down as well. The arms rotate around, and they can move up, and they can turn around right here. Oops, focus, there we go. Turn around right here. He has double joint at the elbow. The hand moves around 360 degrees. He can move his torso in and out like that. He can rotate around 360 degrees, do the splits, kick forward, and not really back because that gets in the way, but he can rotate his leg around like that. And he has double joints at the knees, like that. And then the foot does not rotate, but it can basically move side to side a decent amount, and you can kick it forward and back like that. So plenty of articulation there, so you can kind of have him doing like a, you know, wide range of poses or something. So that's pretty cool. I think he's a solid figure. Looks pretty good, and some good articulation and everything. So yeah, I like Drax. I think the figure is pretty cool. Alright, on to Star-Lord. Here he is right here. Let's remove his little blasters there for a second. So, Star-Lord looks pretty cool. I am a fan of the way the figure looks. Definitely, you know, very accurate to the movie. So, looks great. Some great detail, even on his little jacket and everything. Just looks really cool. You know, so if you kind of move it, you can see the full detail on everything right there. Now, what can this do? So first of all, if I remove his head, this little backpack piece does unclip. So you can kind of unclip it like that, and then you can kind of slide it off and off of his arm like so. I'm not gonna, you know, do all that and mess it all up, but you can do that and then reclip it there. The jacket does not come off because it is all kind of attached to the body really. So you can kind of move it open like that, but it does not come off as far as I can tell. I'm always wary of breaking some of these things. They did not come with any instructions. The only instruction was this thing on how to combine Groot. So if you can remove the jacket, then maybe that, you know, that's great, whatever, but I wouldn't think so because his arms are like his jacket too, so that just doesn't work. But anyways, he also comes with this other head, which is his Peter Quill, you know, the human head right there. I don't think that really looks like Chris Pratt at all. Maybe, kind of, I don't know. So that, it looks slightly off to me. You know, but at least you have the option, you know, so you can display him like that, or you can display him with his helmet on. So that's pretty cool. He does come with a couple different things. So if I had put his other helmet back on, you can take his headphones and just kind of sit them on top of his head, and he's listening to music like that, something like that. So I guess that's kind of nice to be able to have that. He does also come with this, which is supposed to be, I believe, a cassette tape. It barely looks like one. But he can't really do anything with it, except I guess he can hold it if you want. So he's holding a little cassette tape, so, you know, I guess that's kind of neat. He also comes with the orb. So here's one of the infinity gems. So he can't really hold it in his hand properly, you know, so he kind of, doesn't really hold it in his hand, so you just kind of get a little orb, so yay. So some of those accessories just don't really make that much sense. And he also comes with two of the little blasters, so he can kind of let the blasters, although they don't really hold in his hand very well. They just kind of sit there and they can easily fall out sometimes. Because they don't really have a good grip. This hand is a bit better of a grip, but this one doesn't as much. So, like, I just touched it and it fell off. So, you get the idea there. In terms of articulation, so he can rotate that around, because obviously it's removable. His arms rotate around 360 degrees, and they can move up about that much. He has a double joint at the elbow. He can rotate that around, and his little hand rotates around. This side of him, though, is always going to be sticking out slightly, because you'll see with this, the little joint can move down all the way. With this, the joint is stuck with the little, there's another little piece right there, so that's the lowest that it's going to go. So his arm is always going to be out that much. You can bend it in like this, but that's about it. So that's slightly annoying, because it makes him look a little weird in some of his poses. So that is a bit of a disappointment. As well as because of the way his arm is designed, here he has this little piece here, so when you have the joint, you know, it makes it look okay, but on this side, it just looks like something's broken in his arm. Something about him just looks off. Maybe it's because he can't bend it downwards, that the way that his hand is oddly shaped or something, But I think this side of him looks weird. I think something looks wrong about it, like it's disjointed or something. So you can try and pose them in a way that like maybe like this that you won't really notice. But if you try and pose them just standing straight, it's gonna look odd. It's not gonna look proper, you know. So that's one little disappointment with it there. The legs move, you know, he can kick forward, and he would be able to go back a little bit but his jacket gets in the way. They can rotate around 360 degrees. He does have a double joint at the knee there, and his foot goes forward and back like so. So a decent amount of articulation. He's obviously hindered by the jacket there and everything, but I think he still looks pretty cool overall. You'll see. So some of it just like posing it. If you can get these figures to pose, like stand still, they're great. But if you're like trying to mess around with them and play with them a little bit, it's some of them are better for that than others. But I think he looks fantastic though. I really do like the look of the figure. I mean, lots of detail and everything, and just looks great. I really do like the look of these guys. By the way, I did get all these on Amazon. I don't know the exact prices because the prices for each of these were different when I got it online, and so I don't know how much they're sold for in stores, but I think they're going to be more expensive than your typical action figure because these are a bit more geared towards collectors. Obviously, you know, kids can get them and they are ages 4+ for sure. They'll love them, but they are geared a bit more also towards collectors with the other additional accessories and everything else. All right, then we got Rocket Raccoon right here. So he's nice and small right here. He actually has a decent amount of articulation. His head does not move up and down or rotate or anything, so his head seems to be stuck. Unless there's something that I can figure out, but I don't want to break it. I feel like I'll break it if I do that. His arms don't exactly rotate around 360 degrees, but that's kind of because this little piece gets in the way, his shoulder piece. But they can move in and out. And this arm piece right here can rotate 360 degrees. So you do have that, and you know he can bend at the elbow. And his hand, his tiny little hand, also rotates around. So he actually has a decent amount of articulation in the arms there. So you can kind of do that. I think he looks slightly like stiff, his neck, just the way it is. I wish you could move his head. That would kind of be a bit better. But you can also rotate him around like that. His feet do not have any articulation. You can't move his feet or knees or anything. No articulation there. But his tail rotates around, so you can do that as well. But he looks pretty cool overall. You know, so nice little design there and everything. And he can be a little bit hard to stand up as well. You just kind of have to balance him. I use this tail as like a way to balance, you know, so you kind of have to sit him down so that his tail will kind of balance him there. So there's that. He does come with his little weapon here, this blaster gun, machine gun, cannon thingy, whatever it is. And he does not hold it very well. You know, I can try and put it with this hand, no, but it just doesn't, this hand curls. It kinda, I guess he can kinda grip it with his hand a little bit. Actually, that was kinda decent. But on this hand, you'll see how it's completely wide open. So a lot of these figures, it seems like the left hand is better for gripping, which doesn't make any sense. It should be the right hand. But the way that, you know, if you try and stick his hand in there like that and get him to hold it, he doesn't hold it very well. It's very loose. So you can pose him like this, where the gun is touching the ground maybe, or like holding it up like this, then maybe you might not be able to tell that he's not holding it properly, but you can like pretend like this, like he's kind of holding it like that. So you really have to just pose him in the correct position to be able to get it to look okay. And there's that. Then it came with this thing, and I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I believe this is like a blaster. I think this was from the movie, because I know they had something similar to this. I'm really trying to remember, because for some reason I blanked that part out and I can't remember. I feel like in the movie he held this big cannon thingy and fired it, but if not, this is going to be completely ridiculous looking and I'm making a fool of myself. Maybe it's like a stool for him, not. Now I really do think, I think this is supposed to be, you know, it seems to fit like this, like some sort of a cannon. I believe this was the big cannon that they used in the movie. I'm not going to like spoil stuff from the movie, but I believe this was the main big weapon that they used. So I guess that's kind of neat to have, although he really can't hold it on his own. It's more if you hold it there for him. It's not going to stay, so that kind of makes it pointless, but anyways. So those are the main Guardians of the Galaxy, but then of course we also have the additional ones from the comics. So we have Iron Man right here with this little design that's from the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. And he looks pretty interesting looking. He's not my favorite Iron Man design, but he still looks pretty cool. And I think the figure itself is pretty awesome. The red that they use, and even the gold, is actually quite shiny too. And it's a solid figure. Like when you hold it in your hands, it feels sturdy. It feels strong and pretty cool. And he has plenty of articulation. The head moves up and down and rotates. The shoulder pads move in and out. His hands move up about that much. They can rotate around 360 degrees. He has double jointed elbows right there. And his hand also rotates around right there. And this whole piece can rotate around right there. His torso moves as well. It kind of clicks in place when he does it. So he basically has the same articulation as Drax, I would say. This rotates around. He can kick right there and forward and slightly back, and double jointed knees, and the foot can move forward and back. So same articulation as Drax basically. But you know, it makes for some cool little poses and stuff. Like he can kind of have his hand blaster at the ready, somewhat like this. You know, I don't know. So whatever. You basically can get some cool poses out of him, I guess. And he looks kind of neat. My main display for these figures, if I display them somewhere, probably won't include him or Nova because they're not from the movie and stuff. But he's still pretty sweet though, and I'm glad I got him for the piece for Groot because that was nice. But also he actually looks kind of neat. So yeah, that's pretty cool. If I ever get any other future Iron Man ones, I can also compare those as well. Similarly, we have Nova, who's actually also pretty cool looking. The helmet just looks very like cartoony almost, like just the design of it. But the rest actually looks pretty sweet. I like the blue that they use. Blue is my favorite color, and it's like a nice, almost like a metallic-y blue, but I don't know how to describe it. It's like glossy, kind of. But it looks really cool. I actually really do like the blue that they used, and even the gold and everything is nice and shiny. It's actually a really cool design. I'm not gonna lie. I actually do like this design here, and it would be cool to see somebody wearing a similar suit like this in the movies. I think that would be pretty sweet. So yeah, I really do like this figure. He does rotate around there. The shoulder pads do move up like that and down, so you can, you know, when you're posing, move his arm a bit forward, so you can do that. So again, similar articulation, rotates, you know, this rotates, double joint there, hand rotates, this rotates, and even the torso he can bend, and the legs, and here, and this, and that, and this, and double joint, and foot forward and back. So basically same articulation as Drax and Iron Man and most of these figures here. No accessories. Iron Man and him both did not come with any accessories, but I think they still look pretty sweet, you know. And he can come up with some really cool poses for some of these guys. I'm actually really digging some of them. So that is that. Those are all the figures right there. So I'm going to kind of pose them and talk as I do so. Overall, I really do like them. You know, some more than others. I think like the Gamora figure is really weak, like it literally, and also just in terms of the look and stuff too. I really wish they would have done more with that there. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of annoying to pose a little bit. Let's see if I can get her to stand properly. But, I mean, yeah, they're actually pretty solid, like, in terms of their... I'm knocking them over. In terms of their designs, their look, they all feel pretty sturdy overall. And they have plenty of articulation, which is great. So these figures are pretty cool. Like, they make for a good display piece, you know, of all the Guardians of the Galaxy, as well as, you know, if you're a comic book fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy, then you got your Iron Man and Nova figures as well. So that's certainly a nice touch, I guess, to be able to have all of those. Some of the weapons, some of the accessories are pretty lame and don't really work properly, so it's kind of pointless to have them, I guess. Like this big cannon here, he can't hold that on his own, and like the orb, he can't hold it either, I guess. I suppose it's nice that they included it, but really have no worth there. But overall, I think they look pretty solid, and that's the main thing with these figures. I think they have plenty of articulation, so that's good, and they look solid. They're all really cool. So I'll give you a little shot of the Guardians here, and I'll kind of move everything else away, and you'll see, I mean, look at that. That right there is pretty fantastic. I mean, just to have this little set here. Groot is amazing, in my opinion. But I mean, just this whole set is awesome. Just having the Guardians of the Galaxy team looks really cool. And then, of course, you can add in, you know, Iron Man and Nova into the mix there. So I'll kind of stick him in there. So if you're a fan of the comics, then you have this like whole team standing here. If I can get him to stand properly now. So overall, you know, I think these are good to get. The main reason that I bought these initially is I've been collecting for a couple of years the Marvel, the 3.75 inch line. And those have been pretty cool. You know, definitely not anywhere near as much articulation or anything, but they're still, you know, pretty neat figures and stuff. But with Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't think that they're making 3.75 inch figures, you know? So that's when I was kind of like, I had heard about the Marvel Legends figures for a while, but I guess I just, for whatever one reason or another, I just never got them. I held off on getting any. And then it turned out that since they're not making the 3.75 inch ones, and I saw pictures of some of these, I was like, hey, they actually look pretty cool. So I decided to go for it, and I actually really do like these. So they are more expensive, but I think they look pretty sweet. If you get, I mean, all six, I mean, this is a great looking set right here. There's some nice figures, some good articulation, and they look fantastic. So I definitely do recommend them. To me, they're almost like SH Figuarts in a way for Power Rangers, or Sentai rather as well. Except not quite as much. You know, some of them are not as good quality and everything, but in terms of like the look and detail, they're pretty sweet, you know. And I think the highlight for me, as Gamora falls over right there, the highlight for me is Groot. Groot, I think, looks fantastic and has plenty of articulation. He actually is an awesome figure. I really love the Groot. I'm not gonna lie, I really love that Groot. And so the only way to get Groot is you got to get all six. So even if you just wanted like the main Guardians, I think well, the only way that you're going to get the entire team then is to buy all six. But you know, let's say you're looking at these and you're looking at this review and you're like, well, Gamora sucks because she can barely stand properly, as you can see here. And while that is true, I think she's worth getting, especially just because of Groot, because Groot just looks fantastic and is absolutely awesome. So seriously, Groot makes this whole set worth it just by himself, seriously. So that is that. I don't know if you'll be able to track these down in stores yet, or hopefully soon they'll pop up in stores or whatnot, but I got them on Amazon, so check out Amazon if you're interested. That's that. Let me know if you guys have any questions about these, and if you like this review, please give this a thumbs up, and please share the video. If I see that a lot of people are watching this review, then I will buy more Marvel Legends figures in the future. I've been collecting the 3.75 inch figures, but these are more expensive, and so if I see that people really want to see more of these reviews, then I'll buy more of them for whatever other Marvel movies release, which the next would be Avengers, and that would be really cool to get Marvel Legends figures for the next Avengers movie. I also heard a Silurian Ranger on Twitter, George, he had said that they're making an Agent Coulson one and some others, so that's pretty sweet. But anyways, that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed this review, so please give it a thumbs up, share the video, please subscribe if you haven't already, and check out Guardians of the Galaxy in theaters. It is an awesome movie, great movie, check it out, and that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.